Hey, what's up guys, it's Doublezug. This is a rank 1 Resto Druid Zonozz parse here I'm going to show you. This is a first kill in this gdkp. We're 6 healing here with double Shaman, double Paladin, and then Disc and Resto Druid, which is basically like pretty close to ideal comp. I think one of the Resto Shamans being something else would be a little bit better, but Resto Shaman is also quite strong here. So one of the things to mention here is I actually run the 1 point in Nature's Ward over the casting time on Nourish with 3 rejuves out and the crit chance on regrowth here. I've actually found this talent to be very, very powerful in Dragon Soul overall. It procs off of a lot of stuff, and in a lot of these fights you're going to get below 50% very consistently when there's high damage. And if you get just a few free casts of rejuve off this talent, it definitely outperforms the little bit of crit chance on regrowth. Regrowth is not really a very strong ability, and it doesn't do very much of our healing at all. Whereas, a few extra casts of regrowth on yourself is very, very powerful. So that's something to mention. I'll try to point out when it procs. So for this first section here, the damage is very low at first, so I just kind of spin my wheels a little bit. I do try to get my first Innervate and my first Jaws uses very quickly. Here we have the raid spread into 2 groups and then a melee. So I'm going to pre-spread to my position as this last bounce is going out. We do lose our off tank there, which is unfortunate. Here I do stack my tree form and trank. You can spread these out. I just prefer to get 2 uses, and I trank inside my tree form here. My mastery does drop at the end there, but not too big of a deal. And then I'm just going to be pretty much spamming rejuve here, as well as a couple of regrowths here and there. You don't really want a regrowth, but you can see there you kind of have to sometimes just to top people. Rejuve is a much more efficient ability overall, but every once in a while you just need that oomph of a spot heal. You can see my mana is getting pretty low here. My Resto Shamans haven't popped their mana tides on cooldown early enough here. You're pretty much just going to get 2 uses, so it doesn't super matter that they aren't using them that early. They're not going to miss a use, but I actually have to call for Crux's tide here, I think. Having this many tides is really, really helpful. So you can see I didn't use my Jaws early enough to get it inside the first ad phase rather, but even during the bounce phase you can still get good value out of Jaws. I would pretty much never not wear this Trinket in Dragon Soul. You can always get 15, 20 plus casts inside of this, which just makes this Trinket insane. It gives a huge amount of intellect and 600-700 MP5 if you play it properly, which you always should be. We have the mana now to really, really hard spam rejuve like it's Wrath of the Lich King all over again. One other thing you can see I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be trying to prioritize Swift Mend on the Ellie Shamans and the Resto Shamans. 15% extra on that ability when the raid is stacked. Your 4 set's also going to get some benefit from that as well. It's just very, very large. It's actually pretty important here. You can also see I do int pot this second section. I don't have tree form or tranquility, so I use int pot to kind of cover this. I also mismanage my mana here a little bit, and I'm just going into this section with not very much mana left, which is not optimal here. When you're low mana like this, always keep your life bloom up. You can see I actually drop it there, which is pretty bad, and just prioritize Wild Growth and Swift Mend over everything. If you don't have the mana to Wild Growth and Swift Mend on cooldown, there's no reason you should ever be pressing Rejuve or really any other button. Dropping my life bloom there was a pretty big mistake. Also, again, just mismanaging my mana a little bit. Definitely some mistakes here to work on. But again, if you are in a situation where you find yourself having low mana, number 1 priority is Swift Mend, so never ever ever cast a rejuve if it means you're not going to have enough mana to Swift Mend cooldown, and your number 2 priority is that Wild Growth. So again, you don't want to ever be rejuving and missing a cast of either one of those abilities. Also, keeping your life bloom up is obviously really nice. Life bloom generates clear casting, which is mana. It also generates mana directly through your talents, as well as your 2 set. You can also see here, one thing I do when my mana is low here, I kind of mismanaged it a little bit, is that you can use your tree form as sort of a semi-mana cooldown. Because we have that 2-set from Firelines, which procs mana return on our Life Bloom, as well as the fact that Life Bloom is very efficient in itself, and also generates clear casting procs. If you do have low mana, you can use your tree form as less of a throughput ability, spamming Rejuve, Wild Growth, Swiftmend, and more of a like mana saving ability by spamming a lot more Life Blooms here. So you can see I'm spreading out Life Blooms. I should be focusing more on the players with the debuff, but it was just about to fall off here. And you can see in this last section, we're just going to be stacking up and kind of blasting through this. We're also going to be getting a Mana Hymn and a Tide here, so our mana is going to pop up. I also Trank there without Mastery, which is kind of bad. You can see again here I'm prioritizing the Shamans with that Swiftmend to get that extra 15%. It's actually very, very big when you have the whole raid stack like this. And you know, you're not going to be wasting too much even if you cast it into a full HP Shaman. The benefit you get from the Efflorescence and the 4-set proc is going to much outweigh overhealing completely on that Swiftmend. And you can see here I'm just kind of, my mana is still a bit low, so I'm again prioritizing the mana to Wild Growth on cooldown, keeping my Life Bloom up, and then Swiftmending on CD. We link here, and then the boss dies. So that's the rank 1 pull there, which you can see I made a bunch of mistakes. I mismanaged my mana a little bit there. Rdruid is incredibly strong on this fight. This is basically progression gear. I have like maybe 1 or 2 pieces I've gotten that are not super high impact, and this is in Fireline's 4-set, and I'm doing 37k, so with a bunch of mistakes. So, you know, Rdruid just incredibly powerful in this fight because the raid is spreading when all that damage is happening, and your HOTS are just very, very powerful at healing when the raid is spread like that, as well as FLO being powerful when the raid is stacked for the bouncing sections. So yeah, thanks for watching. Kind of a fun pull there. See ya.
Swobu, Zug Zug.